Welcome to Home Biz Tax Talk. My name is Lysandra Everett. I am the Home Biz Tax Lady and the principal owner of Everett Tax Solutions, where we help you win the tax game. Home Biz Tax Talk airs Monday through Friday, and when you tune into my show, you're going to hear about topics that are important to the small business community. And today I want to talk about lock-in letters. With the increase of audits and enforcement and things that's going to be going on in the next year, these types of things are going to be more important, and I think we're going to see more of them. Okay, so a lock-in letter. Let's set the scene. So you have an employee who works, is working a job, may have gone exempt, or in previous years have been claiming a lot more exemptions than what they were allowed. Essentially, there are not enough withholdings from the paycheck. Now, we've seen the income shifting and all of that kind of goes into this. And sometimes it's just people who have just set their W-4 and, just set it and forget it. And the W-4 is not one of those things that you can really do that with, because you do have life changes that, change your tax situation. So for instance, if you normally, claim head of household and your children have now moved out and gone to college, or no longer live at home, you're not head of household anymore. So if you haven't adjusted your W-4, you may not be having enough withholdings taken out, and then you're creating a tax bill. So if you're continually creating a tax bill, not having enough withholdings, and you're not sending in estimates, you may get to the point where you get a lock-in letter. So the lock-in letter is when the IRS sends a letter to your employer that says, hey, you need to start withholding X amount from this taxpayer because there have not been enough withholdings. So they get this letter as the employer. Now, as the employer, you have 10 days to get that letter to your employee if they're still working there, okay? And then from there, you have 60 days to enforce what the IRS has sent. So the IRS has bypassed the taxpayer because the taxpayer has obviously not made any moves toward the IRS. The employee has gotten the letters from the IRS saying that they have a tax bill, all of that. No action has happened. So the IRS says, cool, we'll contact your job, okay? So then, like I said, so once the IRS sends the letter to the employer has 10 days to get that to the employee, or and then the employee has 60 days to get in contact with the IRS before the lock-in happens, okay? So that's why the employers get 60 days, because that gives the employee time to contact the IRS. So the employer gets the letter. They also get the employee's copy of the letter. The employer is responsible for getting that letter to the employee, and the IRS also sends the employee a letter that says, hey, this is happening. So there's plenty of ways where the employee is being contacted that, hey, this is going to happen. And so yeah, that's when the employee, when that happens, it's incumbent upon you to reach out to the IRS to start resolving this situation, whether you have unfiled tax returns or if you have unpaid taxes. This is what you got to do. Now, during that time, you can also request a modification. So the IRS says withhold at X rate. You get in contact with them, and then you may negotiate a different rate. Well, once that rate is negotiated, there is no changing it. Okay. So, and then it becomes effective immediately. So during that 60-day time that the employee reaches out to the IRS, you negotiate a different rate. That starts happening immediately. You don't get the additional time to do that. All right. Now, once that lock-in rate is in effect, it is not going to change. Now, employees, you can submit a new W-4 during this time for the withholdings. But if the W-4 withholds more than what the lock-in rate is, then that's what the employer does. If it's less, then the employer has to stick to what the IRS says, not what you submitted. So that's, how that works. All right. So, so the main thing here is that when you're dealing with tax debt, again, when you get the letters from the IRS, you do not want to ignore that. Secondly, understand why you're getting refunds, because a lot of times this happens because people say, okay, well, I keep getting refunds, so therefore I must be exempt, and then they write exempt on the W-4. That's not necessarily true. You may be getting refunds because you may have had too many withholdings in the past, or you have tax credits, or a combination of the two. But 9 times out of 10, there are very few people who are completely exempt from tax. Okay, so it's important for you, the taxpayer, to know why you're getting a refund. So everybody that has a tax amount, okay, that's just what it is. So, so know why you're getting your refunds, whether you have had too many withholdings or if it's because of tax credits. If that's the case, then you are not exempt. And generally speaking, high income earners, my 6-figure earners, 9 times out of 10, you're not exempt either. Okay, even if you happen to get refunds, you are probably not exempt. So I encourage you, number one, to be very careful with filing exempt to where no taxes are being withheld. I generally discourage that. However, you need to know exactly what your tax liability is, like ballpark window within a couple $100, so that at the end of the year, you don't have this huge tax bill that you can't pay. Or if you intentionally have less withheld from your check, you are actually reserving that money somewhere and sending estimates in so that you might have more money coming home, but you're also paying attention to what this tax liability is. And lastly, review your W-4s, okay? This is something that you really should do on an annual basis because, again, life changes happen. And when you make changes to your W-4, there are some people that go exempt for 6 months and then have a whole bunch withheld for the remaining 6 months. And there are some people that just forget. And the HR is not going to remind you, hey, you went exempt, and you probably not want to do that. That's not how that's going to happen. You, as the taxpayer who are in charge of your tax situation, have the responsibility to properly fill out the W-4 accurately so that you are having the proper amount withheld. That is what is supposed to happen. Okay. But if you don't do that and you continually under withhold, you're continually racking up a tax bill and not paying that tax bill, that's when the lock-in letters happen and they go to your employer. Yes, it can be quite embarrassing. But I've also seen lock-in letters sent to people who are contractors. Okay, like if you are an independent contractor, whether you're a government contractor or you work for another organization as a contractor, and this is an ongoing thing, I have seen where lock-in letters are sent to those contractors, the one who holds the contract, to say, hey, you need to do backup withholding for this taxpayer for X amount. So I've seen that happen. All right. So that's the scoop on lock-in letters, okay? So thank you guys so much for tuning into Home Biz Tax Talk. Again, we air Monday through Friday, and you can come right here to get your questions answered about your home business taxes. All right, have a great day, and I will see you all next time. Bye.